Hey everyone, welcome to the show.
Great to be diving in.
Okay, so imagine this. A world where just, like, a handshake could seal a death sentence. Where loyalty, bought in blood, and betrayal, well, that just means you disappear.
It sounds like fiction, but for decades this was absolutely real,
Yeah,
hidden right inside American society.
exactly. And today we're pulling back the curtain. We're jumping into the nonfiction history of it with Peter Moss's The Valachi Papers. You can find the link on Amazon. It's down in the description.
And this isn't just, another crime story listing facts.
No, not at all. It's this incredibly intimate look at a secret culture, a whole criminal organization laid bare, and it's from the inside by the first guy who actually dared to break their sacred oath.
Yeah, Joseph Valachi. His story is just unprecedented.
So if you're ready to get into these hidden layers of history, you know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives like this.
What's really fascinating, I think, beyond just the story itself, is the fact that this book even exists. Valachi, a longtime member of the Cosa Nostra, he was the first one. The first member to ever publicly admit, yes, this thing exists, and then go on to detail how it all worked.
Wow. So before him, it was all just speculation or denied.
Pretty much debated even within law enforcement. Then, in 1964, facing his own troubles, the Department of Justice actually encouraged him to write it all down. His life story.
He wrote it himself.
He did. Apparently it was this massive manuscript, like 300,000 words.
Yeah.
For an organization built entirely on secrecy, this was earth-shattering. Just the act itself.
Okay, hold on. So a guy deep inside this super secret world just decides, yep, I'm writing a book. The risk must have been immense.
Astronomical. And getting it published, not smooth sailing at all. First, you had Bureau of Prisons rules. Standard stuff, inmates couldn't profit from or publish details about their crime.
It makes sense.
But then, the Justice Department itself got nervous. Apparently, some of Valachi's claims pointed towards, well, potential corruption. Maybe in the Bureau of Prisons, maybe the Bureau of Narcotics. Sensitive stuff.
Ah, okay. So the government kind of wanted the secrets, but maybe not all the secrets. That's interesting.
It really is. It created this really complex legal mess. In the end, Peter Moss, the author, got this unique deal. He couldn't publish Valachi's original manuscript word for word.
Right.
But he got incredible access. He talked to Valachi, read the manuscript, got hundreds of pages of FBI Narcotics Bureau interrogation notes, other official files.
Wow.
Yeah, so the Valachi Papers, the book we have, is Moss basically weaving all that firsthand info into a narrative.
Yeah.
A third-person account.
And the impact, this wasn't just some gossipy tell-all, right? It had real consequences.
Huge consequences. Connecting it to the bigger picture, Valachi's testimony totally changed the game for law enforcement. How they understood organized crime, how they fought it.
Because before him,
Like we said, the very idea of a single national crime syndicate, the Cosa Nostra, was fuzzy. People debated it. He gave them names, structure, methods. Figures like Capone, Luciano, Costello, Genovese, he put them in context. Showed the brutal reality behind the names.
it put flesh on the bones, so to speak.
Exactly. It was a massive intelligence breakthrough.
So Valachi himself, he wasn't exactly climbing the corporate ladder before this, right? What were his roots?
No, definitely not. His early life was pretty much marked by petty crime. He spent time in places like the New York Catholic Protectory.
Okay.
His first arrests were for things like, I think there was a silk store robbery.
Yeah.
He did time in Sing Sing too. And when he got out, well, he slipped right back into crime. Didn't really find another path.
So how does someone go from that, petty theft and early jail time to being inside this secret society? What was the actual getting in part like?
That was his making, his formal initiation. Salvatore Maranzano brought him in. And Valachi described the ritual vividly: a gun, a knife on the table.
Seriously?
Yeah, and boning a piece of paper in his hand while swearing this oath in Italian. Total secrecy. The name itself, Cosa Nostra, means this thing of ours.
A thing of ours.
And the loyalty demanded. It explicitly came before everything. Family, religion, country, everything. It was intense, almost theatrical, really drilling home the seriousness of it all.
Wow. That sounds less like joining a gang and more like...
Yeah, a blood pact, like you said. So what did this thing of ours actually look like inside, the structure?
Valachi laid it all out. It's hierarchical,
Yeah.
very structured. You've got the boss, the capo at the top, ultimate authority.
Right.
Below him, the underboss or subcapo, second in command. Then lieutenants, they called them caporegimes, each running a crew of soldiers.
Soldiers, okay.
And membership, being a made man, was strictly for guys of Italian descent. But their operations, They involved all sorts of outsiders, people who weren't members but helped the businesses.
So like a very exclusive, very illegal corporation.
Kind of, yeah. With really clear lines of command, all focused on crime.
And who are the big players Valachi dealt with? Must have been some serious power struggles. Oh, definitely. The era he talked about was full of heavy hitters. Vito Genovese, Charlie Lucky Luciano, Frank Costello, Albert Anastasia, Salvatore Maranzano.
Big names.
Huge names and huge conflicts. The Castellamarese War was massive, a bloody fight between Maranzano and Joe the Boss, Masseria for control of New York. Valachi was right in the middle of it.
He fought in it.
Yeah. And eventually, both Masseria and Maranzano got killed, assassinated, which basically paved the way for Luciano to take over and create a more streamlined mafia. It wasn't just a turf war. It fundamentally changed how organized crime operated in the U.S.
Sounds incredibly dangerous, just constant volatility. What kind of crimes was Valachi himself doing day to day within this structure?
His resume was pretty varied, actually. He did loft burglaries, ran numbers, the policy racket up in Harlem. He mentioned dealing with guys like Dutch Schultz and Ciro Terranova there.
Wow, Schultz.
Yeah. Loan sharking, too shylocking, they called it. He even had a short stint dabbling in horse racing with a horse named Knight's Duchess, I think.
Horse racing, even mobsters like a Flutter, huh?
Apparently so. But yeah, it shows how wide their net was cast, always looking for ways to make illicit money.
But it wasn't all about making money, was it? There's the violence, the really dark side.
Absolutely central. Violence was just part of the business. The Cosa Nostra used contracts, basically orders to kill someone.
Just like in the movies.
Pretty much. Valachi gave chilling details about contracts he was involved in killing guys like Little Apples, Reggioni, and Eugenie Giannini. He described the planning, how they did it, and how the organization always tried to keep its hands clean, distance itself from the actual act.
Calculated. Cold.
Very, almost businesslike, which is maybe the most disturbing part.
Yeah.
Making life or death decisions like they're closing a deal.
And what held it all together? What were the rules inside this violent world?
Well, there was a strict code. Respect was huge. How you interacted with other members, other families. But the absolute number one rule, omerta, the code of silence.
Don't talk, ever.
Never. Breaking that oath meant death, no question.
Yeah.
That total commitment to secrecy is what let them operate in the shadows for so long. It shows you the power of silence, right, when everyone sticks to it.
But Valachi did break it. He shattered it. What happened? What finally made him talk?
It started to unravel with Vito Genovese. Genovese was in prison in Atlanta on drug charges, and he got paranoid, really paranoid.
About Valachi?
Yeah. He somehow got it in his head that Valachi was talking to the feds, that Valachi was an informant. So he marked him for death.
Oh, wow. Inside prison?
Inside prison.
Yeah.
Valachi said the atmosphere was terrifying. He was constantly scared of being poisoned, attacked, living on a knife edge.
I can't even imagine.
And this fear led to this tragic mistake. He saw another inmate, Joseph Di Palermo, and thought he was the hitman Genovese sent. So Valachi attacked and killed him first.
But it wasn't the guy.
No, just another inmate. A horrible, irreversible mistake born out of sheer terror.
And that led him to cooperate.
That was the final push. He's facing murder charges in prison, likely the death penalty. He'd been living in fear for ages because of Genovese's paranoia. So he made a deal. Spill the secrets of the Cosa Nostra. Maybe save his own life.
Desperation. Self-preservation kicking in above everything else.
Exactly. Even above that blood oath he took. It's grim irony, isn't it? A life built on secrets, finally exposed because of fear and mistaken identity.
Yeah, really grim. So, looking back at his testimony, what were the biggest takeaways?
Well, number one, he confirmed it. The Cosa Nostra existed. That was huge. Then he detailed the whole structure, the hierarchy we talked about.
Right, the boss, underboss.
Yeah. He exposed how deep their tentacles went into all sorts of crime gambling, loan sharking, you name it. And he showed the brutal reality of the internal power struggles, the violence, and of course that ironclad code of silence, omerta.
And the book itself, the Valachi paper, its legacy?
Oh, profound. It massively changed public understanding. It gave law enforcement incredible intelligence, a real roadmap, boosting their fight against the mafia significantly. Even now, the insights from Valachi, from Moss's book, they're still relevant for understanding how these kinds of organized groups work.
So Valachi really did pull back the curtain, changed everything. It kind of leaves you thinking, though.
Yeah.
Considering the power he described, the absolute secrecy, the swift and brutal consequences for breaking rules, what does his story really tell us about the kinds of hidden power structures, the hidden codes that can exist just bubbling under the surface of society, even today.
That is the big question, isn't it? It forces you to look beyond the gangster stuff and think about secrecy, power, loyalty, how those dynamics play out everywhere, maybe in less violent ways, but still shaping things.
Definitely food for thought. Well, thanks for digging deep into this with us today. What part of Valachi's story stood out most to you? Was it the initiation, the paranoia? Let us know in the comments. Always curious to hear your take.
Yeah, definitely share your thoughts.
And if you found this journey into a hidden world as fascinating as we did, please hit that like button, share it around. We really appreciate it.
Helps us keep bringing you these deep dives.
Exactly. We'll catch you on the next one.